the guy, for instance. You see he's poor, he's going away from his resources. It didn't help him. He's out in the cold. So he starts fixating on money. Then some things happen, and he ends up just saving and hoarding money. So it's really focused on money and trying to save. In the interim, we had the Hangman and the Tower reversed. Now the Hangman talks about just having peace, accepting something, but it also talks about complete and unexpected change. Well, what was it? Well, it was the Tower when it was upright. Okay, but now it's in reverse. So at some point you did have it this way. At least that's what I'm seeing. Perhaps you were passive too long about something, and so the universe either has or will strike it. But I do see some passivity cards. And I do see this guy as a firm foundation, which is what the Tower is usually lacking. But it's in reverse, so it looks like there may be, we cleared away all the old stuff, the foundation that wasn't quite firm, wasn't settled, and then we rebuilt. And then this is you rebuilding. But he's also isolated as well, like the Queen of Cups. He's the loner type. Sometimes he's also holding on to a relationship that's expired. And it could be we're still holding on to it. Oh no, my voice is so scratchy. So we have a bad situation, and then we have coming out of a bad situation. Okay. I'm wondering, why is the Four of Pentacles here for Aquarians from now until the end of May? Okay, Ace of Wands. Everybody's been getting this card, you guys, and I swear I've shuffled. So it's about passion. It could be an affair, because sometimes I see it as an affair. So somebody may be holding a secret about an affair. I never usually see those together, but it says passion ignited. It could be a dream. You're holding on to a dream, holding on to the idea of a relationship that's past its prime. I also see you may be a student, because we have a student here. And you have a low income with the Hangman. So we have low income student over here. Somebody may be going to school, like leaving the home and going to school. And the transition isn't as bad as you thought it was, but you're having to save money to follow your dream. Well, I don't know what sign it was, but another sign had this go to school reading. Oh, okay. And I think you want to go to school, but you don't have enough money and you're waiting for the opportunity. I'll get back to the Tower, but you're saving money to do it. Also, the Tower reverse talks about hiding the truth. And here we have somebody holding on to a secret. Somebody may maybe possibly be a benefactor in helping you go to school. But also I see an affair, and that's something being withheld. And hangman's often something that's going on behind the scenes. It could quite possibly be somebody who is dating a student. But I'm seeing okay. Some of you may be roommates at college, or you want to live on campus, but you can't. Because with the tower here, I see like leaving the building. But the tower's in reverse. So perhaps you may actually, because tower upright talks about like house foreclosures, roommate issues get resolved like with no battle, and then you move on from a property. Sorry about that. But tower in reverse to me would be the opposite. So roommate is still not working out. Not accepting a foreclosure, like I'm going to save money and keep what I want. And then not moving from a property. And maybe before you had to for some reason. Yeah, we have student low income, going back to school, possibly a past job loss, or maybe you did have a house foreclosed on. And you're like, I can't keep having this low income. I've got to do something. So you go back to school. And I don't know about you guys, but my particular state has a new program that's funded by the state lottery where community college is free for anybody who doesn't already have a degree. So that's pretty interesting. I think that's a good idea. All right. Why is the tower reversed here? This is just puzzling me. Ace of Swords. So there is a very strong opinion. And something was cut out. But I also see not seeing things clearly, not communicating clearly. Oh, we have two aces next to each other. But something held you in suspense. And the change that came, you thought it was going to be hard, but it wasn't as bad as you thought. Sometimes this may mean a property is haunted. So, we don't have death in here, so I guess it's a good indication, possibly not, but just thought I would put that out there. But you may be just very stubborn and you're like, no, I'm not going to have my house foreclosed on. I'm not going to accept not being able to go to school. I'm not accepting it. I'm going to do something about it. Seven of Pentacles. So, sorry. Talks about patience and planning, but this is just a waiting period. Again, we have two waiting cards. I think you have to wait to go to school after you save some money. Because this is somebody who's saving, somebody who's investing. It's also somebody who's questioning their whole life. Like, what am I doing with my relationships? What am I doing with my job? what's my education like? That's what that is. And I think you have a change of mind because that's what Ace of Swords can be about. And okay, now I get, okay, Tower reversed is a personal revelation. Okay. So that's what that is. You have a personal revelation about something, maybe after a job loss, after a loss of a home, after like a house fire, possibly. Hangman is a revelation as well. Okay. And this could be a really good idea. I could even possibly see some kind of invention. And then look, you double your money. Oh no, you don't double it. Well, it's a 1, so yeah. You go from 1 to 4. Okay, there you go. And you get a long-held dream. But it's a complete and unexpected change. And you just kind of have to have faith on it. Prepare for those new, innovative ideas. There's more on the horizon. So you kind of just have to accept your fate, whatever happens. Why is the Queen of Cups here for Aquarians from now until the end of May? Okay, partnerships. You may have to join with an Aquarian person. Now, if I was going to guess like one gender that this reading would be for, I would say a male. But there is like a female intertwined in here with the Tower, Ace of Wands, and then Queen of Cups. And then there's like an older lady here. And in the Tower, the male he loses his crown, but the female doesn't. But see, I also see 3 of Wands as an affair, just like this over here. And that could be a hidden truth. And the truth will be revealed. It could be about an unrequited love. And you're just holding on to it. This is also broadening your horizons, okay? And I think we just talked about that with the Hangman, more on the horizon. Well, this is where there's usually 3 wands and the guy is standing there and he's just looking out into the expanse. So you're expanding your horizons. You're giving yourself more options. And you're saving the money. And then once you save and you go to school, you get your dream, you make more money. Queen of Cups, that's really... Maybe you see yourself all alone. Like maybe there's nobody out there to help you. Now I will say with this 3 of Wands, I think you're meeting the Queen of Cups. Like I think you're joining forces with somebody. I don't know who she would be. Water sign like Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, light hair, light blonde possibly, even like a light brown. But with the 3 of Wands, I do see a partnership. And I do think you have to join with somebody. Because there is a female here. And the female seems to be the only other person. I'm not saying it would be a female. Because, gender isn't actually pertinent here. But I see you're going to have a meeting with this person. And it's going to be very surprising for you. And it's going to heal trauma. Pretty interesting. Because that's from the Tower and the 3 of Wands. Especially, this has happened in the past already. And I feel like, justice comes, triumphant success. And 7s talk about observing. So I think you're going to be watching. But see, you know how I said I didn't think you see things clearly? I don't think you did. And I think there's a need for a revelation if you haven't had it. I think it might come up for you. Not seeing clearly, but then cutting through all the bullshit and seeing it. This could be somebody living in like fantasy. Him too. This might be you trying to escape some destitution. With the Three of Wands and the Hanged Man, I'm seeing a lack of perspective. May also be not taking a scary step because obviously he's hung up. You know, he can't go out into the world, the unknown. But I see somebody's philosophy, somebody's belief is going to change your mind. And you're going to be very successful and very passionate, and you're going to hold on to that belief. This new insight. I don't see much about love, but just there could be an affair. So let's see. What messages are there for Aquarians about love from now until the end of May? Playfulness. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. And it looks like you're not doing it, so the advice would be to do it. And I can say this is like putting the spark back in a relationship. So if it feels like it's old and expired, like the Tower would suggest in the Four of Coins, somebody may have a wandering eye, so you need to put a spark back in your marriage. I could see it happening. And there's a need for just lighthearted playfulness. It could be you were holding two conflicting beliefs and you didn't know what to do, so it was kind of decided for you. But again, I see unrequited love as well. As somebody who might be observing. But I do see a lot of education in here. What messages are there for Aquarians from now until the end of May? Hangman again. So we have Hangman twice. I think you may need to sacrifice something. You may have to sacrifice a belief that you've had that you're very defensive about. And that could be you not wanting to let go of a belief, actually. Okay, Fool, new beginnings. Fool and the Hangman, I usually see some kind of an invention. So, but definitely like a new insight, something that frees you. I see with that Fool that I showed you, like a new business opportunity. Well, maybe two new business opportunities. And only one really lights your passion. And for those of you who are saving for school, so you're going to need to make some sacrifices to get your dream. Whatever kind of corners you can cut, that's what you want to do, because it's going to afford you an opportunity that'll make you more money later on. So you have to kind of prioritize your priorities. You have to go from what's want and what is a need. And that's going to help you save money. You'd be surprised how much money you spend, even little things, and how it adds up over time. In the good way, not just in the spending too much money way. Now, since we have somebody observing, and then we have the Hanged Man, and obviously he doesn't have a good perspective because he's upside down, right? So he sees things wrong side. Ace of Swords says not seeing clearly, not communicating clearly. And the Tower reversed talks about you weren't seeing clearly. You did have a bad perspective. You weren't letting something go. And then in reverse, it says you had a revelation. So whatever was trying to be hidden, it comes out. But just thinking of observations in the Hangman, the advice here is, pause. Be willing to listen to someone. And just observe things as they really are. Okay? Don't try to deceive yourself. It talks about accepting your fate. Suspend all kind of judgment. That may be a suspension of judgment. And just wait for the opportunity. And just thinking here, how the Queen of Cups is isolated, and then we have joining a partnership. So you need to come out of isolation and join. It may just be a group, like a college or a church, or even a partner, maybe a business partner. Then we have 8 of Coins, this is an apprentice going back to school. Everybody's been getting this card. Everybody's been getting education. Why is everybody focused on education all of a sudden? But I see you working really hard and being fruitful. But this is being an apprentice again. And with the Page of Pentacles, it says don't shy away from being an apprentice. Because it's going to bring you your passion. You get to do what you want. But it also talks about positive movement forward. So you're taking something that's going to take you into the future in a positive way. And then some of you need to leave an old way of life behind and move on. It could be an older flame, could be an old belief system, but there's a need to move on. And this Queen of Cups needs to move just in general so she could be with a group, no longer in isolation. This may be, you were studying a religion and you weren't seeing things clearly, and then you had a revelation of some sort. Maybe somebody came along and helped you out, some kind of philosopher. And there's like a need for you to join a church to kind of further that. Made me think of, who is that preacher guy? Joel Osteen. He's always like, what is he saying? We believe got born, or saved, born again, and get in a good Bible-based church. That's what I was thinking of when I saw that, like needing to join a church after having some kind of revelation or insight. And 8s are about change of mind, so we have that here. And then we have that here with the Hanged Man, the Tower reversed, Ace of Swords. All right, what are some action steps that Aquarians can take to have a good outcome from now until the end of May? What are some action steps Aquarians can take to have a good outcome from now until the end of May? Okay. The Moon. Let's still see some secrets here. Oh my goodness, you guys. So everybody's been getting this card too. So I do see there's some kind of deceptiveness, some kind of sneakiness for some people. It could be an affair, or there's something trying to be hidden. But I'll tell you guys this, like I told the others. Everybody talks about this card being sneaky, but it's also education. So some of you really are going to get your education. But also something being revealed. Now, it's more likely cheating when it's in reverse, but I don't pull these cards in reverse. So I'm just giving you that option. But yep. The only other card we need in here to show secrecy would be High Priestess and Devil. But we got all the other ones. I'm just wondering if there is more love in here than I was anticipating. So I wasn't really seeing it. So honestly, I see the end of a love relationship, if anything, and then somebody like holding on to one. But if this is positive, then for the moon, this means you've leapt into something deeper, something more spiritual than previous. Okay, you've had that personal revelation. Now with the Queen of Cups, it talks about your emotions are balanced, your intuition is balanced, being a psychic. And then with the Tower, it talks about a writer. So I could see a writer, especially with this moon. But this also is miscommunication. We talked about not communicating clearly and the need to use your words carefully. And this says you need to communicate honestly. Yeah, Seven of Swords, communicate honestly. I think you're attempting a wish or a dream. This is also the truth is revealed. Okay. And there's a need to move through the fears and distortions to find the truth. And here, a philosophy, this talks about cutting through a conspiracy, whatever that might be. Okay. But with the moon, you have to have faith to support your goals. Also, I see fantasy here, so be careful of living in a fantasy land. Oh, I had something. The Ace of Swords also talks about having a new start. That's that victory after cutting through conspiracy or cutting through information. But be careful not to control. Okay, don't control so much, especially if this is a business enterprise. Okay, somebody you have to join with. Because if you do, like say you're trying to control your roommate, or you're trying to control a group project, let's say for college, but just in any work environment, people will leave you and you'll have to run the business all by yourself. But getting your sleep is important here because that's where you get your inner knowledge. I would write down your dreams. If you do have a secret love, like might be implied here, be careful because it could be dangerous. And with the Tower, maybe the Queen of Cups. Oh, maybe Queen of Cups is a mistress because she's isolated. You know, she's the side chick, right? Okay. And sometimes the Queen of Cups and Tower talk about evil writings. So she may try to publish something that could get you in trouble, or, you know, vice versa. That was a new spin. I wasn't really looking for that. And Three of Wands would be a bad habit. So moving on from a bad habit, this could be addiction. So could this. Okay. But I see more like a really, really good focus, impossible obsession. Why do I get all these cards? I don't know what that's about. But the moon can also be about building security. Okay. And I see that here, as well as the Seven of Pentacles. So advice would be listen to your dreams, be very flexible, use tact whenever possible. Try to use your words carefully so there's no miscommunication. Be more playful and lighthearted. don't know what to say about the side chick, I think. I mean, I see him moving on, but I also see him being an apprentice. And I see commitment too, but also just a change of mind. And then I see somebody being sneaky and possibly getting caught. But be cautious. There's a need to stabilize your mind. Like, this is disarming the enemy, or you need to, like a warning. And then the Hangman says twice, just sit back and let the enemy destroy themselves. You don't even have to do anything. I see fighting here too, as well as failed plans. And somebody might do something underhanded. Somebody may just be afraid of being trapped. And so, like they're leaving. There may be a controlling relationship. Somebody's very possessive. But yet they feel isolated. Because sometimes in a possessive relationship, you tend to get isolated. And it's kind of funny, I put her over there away from all these other cards. So some of you are getting your education, maybe after you save, but it's going to lead to more money. Some of you, a secret's going to be revealed, possibly an affair. But there is a need to move on. Dedicate yourself to your work. Dedicate yourself to school. Don't be afraid of being an apprentice. No shame in that. And then there might be a surprise meeting that heals some trauma. I think that's great information. Everybody's expanding their horizons. But if you're underhandedly in more than one relationship, then that's definitely something that you need to resolve. Let's see. What advice is there for Aquarians who are in more than one relationship in a sneaky way? So cheating, or you're being cheated on. What's the advice or action step for Aquarians involved in a love triangle, or square, or octagon? New love. Okay. So new person has stirred your romantic feelings. So it may be that you're the one coming after someone else, even though you're already taken. Because I do see this as an affair. This is new love, passion ignited. Okay. But I think you're still holding on to the old one. Like, you didn't break up. If you did break up, it's only temporary. But yet you're kind of cheating in the interim, possibly. And you don't want that secret to get out. And you may have to sacrifice that person in order to do the right thing. I can see this as moving on from someone. Could be the old relationship. But that's the person over there being kept to the side. So it may not be the side chick. It may be, your main person you're with. And this person is the one that's in the affair. Because we have joining with 3. So be very careful. So it wasn't really an advice or action step. Maybe we should be telling you who to pick. Pick the new person. Because, if the old person was what you needed, then it wouldn't be, you wouldn't be searching for something else. Or even ending up with something else. But you may have already broken up, but you kept thinking about it, or you had a new love. And then you realized the breakup was only temporary. And so now you had all these people. You didn't really know what to do. All right, let's get some more advice. Trust. Situation's calling for you to have faith. We do have lots of faith cards in here. So some of you may not know how something's going to work out. whether it's job or education or a business partner. You're just going to have to trust that it works out. Also, I think you may need to rebuild the trust in a relationship if it's been broken. Okay.